How far did the Weimar Republic recover in the years 1924 to 9? In this video we'll be focusing on how far the Weimar Republic was able to recover after the crisis years of 1918 to 23. So first of all we're going to focus on the economic recovery of 1924 to 9. Then we're going to look at the role of Gustav Stresemann in achieving this, and lastly his impact on foreign policy. So during 1923, in fact in August, a new government was created to try and solve the crises of hyperinflation and occupation of the ruhr. This new government was a grand coalition spanning people from all sides of the political spectrum, both left and right, who were keen to preserve the Weimar Republic. The government was led by Gustav Stresemann, a right-wing monarchist who had initially been anti the Weimar Republic. In September, he started off by calling off the strikes in the ruhr and ending passive resistance to try and end the occupation of the ruhr. In November, he recalled the worthless Reichsmark currency and replaced it with the new Rentenmark, and they literally burnt the currency, which was now worthless. These measures had an immediate impact in improving the economy of Germany. So who was Stresemann, the Chancellor who led the German people into the recovery? Stresemann was a pro-Kaiser right-wing politician before World War I, and he had initially been anti the Republic as someone who was pro the monarchy. However, he came to see it as the best way to unify Germany and became arguably its most successful leader. He was appointed Chancellor in 1923, and he is credited for solving the economic crisis before stepping down as Chancellor to have great success as Foreign Minister. He died in 1929, which is an interesting time because that is when a lot of the problems that later destroyed the Weimar Republic came to the fore. Stresemann lead Germany to recover from hyperinflation. Now his key policy was that he realised that fighting France and Belgium was going to destroy Germany, so he decided to try and work with them. Now, this was quite unpopular at the time, as many German people felt that France and Belgium were being unfair and harsh on them, but Stresemann realised that they were only damaging their own economy by trying to oppose them, and the only way to survive was to try and work with them to solve the problems. Now he was able to convince other people because as a rich and powerful individual he had more support than previous politicians such as the left-wing Ebert, and was able to use this effectively to get people behind him. Calling off the strike and burning worthless currency was the first crucial step in returning Germany to prosperity. Arguably Stresemann's greatest success was the Dawes Plan. He negotiated this plan with the USA in 1924 to try and solve the economic crisis facing Germany. The basic premise of the plan was that Germany got loans from the USA to rebuild its economy. So if we start with the USA would lend money to Germany, which is spent on building up the German economy and helping with their recovery. Now, as the German economy recovered, Germany could pay off its debts and the reparation payments to France and to the other allies. However, France actually owed a huge amount of money in war loans to the USA, and so was able to pay off this war loans to the USA. So effectively, the USA received its money back that it had lent to Germany and would receive interest on the loans that they made in the long run. The impact of the Dawes Plan was immediate, as the German economy started to recover and they were able to pay off the reparations and solve the problems facing them. However, it wasn't just the Dawes Plan that caused Stresemann to be seen as a success. He also managed to renegotiate the repayment of reparations. By 1927, German industry appeared to be recovering well again, and in fact, by 1928, they had reached pre-war production levels and were the second biggest industrial nation in the world again. In 1929, the Young Plan was agreed, which limited reparations by 20% and spread the payments out further, and the German economy looked strong again. This actually has led to some to suggest that Germany was not that damaged by the war, and actually could have paid more in reparations. However, others have pointed out that this economic success and stability was all reliant on loans from the USA, which ultimately proved to be a fragile source of income. Just have economic success, but in his dealings with foreign countries, he was very successful as Foreign Minister. Now, his overall goal was to make Germany great again. However, he felt the way to do this was to work with other countries of Europe so they regained trust in Germany and allowed them to prosper. Therefore, he was instrumental in 3 key foreign policy agreements. Firstly, the Locarno Agreements of 1925. Secondly, getting Germany to be allowed to join the League of Nations in 1926. And lastly, the Kellogg-Briand Pact of 1928. His first major success was the Locarno Agreements of 1925. Now, to understand these agreements, you have to go back to the Franco-Prussian War of 1871 and look at the disputed territories of Alsace and Lorraine, which France and Germany had been arguing about since this war, about who should own these territories. At the end of World War I, Alsace-Lorraine had been given to France by the Treaty of Versailles, but many French feared that Germany would try and seize it again when they had more power. The Locarno Agreements stated that Germany accepted that Alsace-Lorraine was part of France and in fact guaranteed the whole of their western border, so France would no longer feel threatened by Germany. France felt reassured about its border with Germany, and Germany began to be accepted again by the European states, though interestingly it said nothing about its eastern borders, which later on became exploited by future German leaders. Secondly, Stresemann was instrumental in getting Germany to rejoin the League of Nations. Germany had not been allowed to join the League of Nations as part of its punishment in the Treaty of Versailles and in accepting blame for World War I. However, many people now felt that Germany had suffered enough and should be allowed to join. Fundamentally, the League of Nations would only work if the strongest countries in the world were part of it. Stresemann's role in stopping conflict with France meant that Germany was invited to join as one of the key members of the League of Nations. Lastly, Stresemann ensured that Germany signed the Kellogg-Briand Pact of 1928, a British-French pact to end war. This was an agreement signed by 65 nations to condemn war as a way of solving international disputes. However, many pointed out there was little practical support for this, as no countries other than Germany had disarmed. Now, interestingly, none of these agreements, the Locarno Agreements, the League of Nations, or the Kellogg-Briand Pact, were anything new, and Stresemann in many ways did not give up much by agreeing to them. However, it brought Germany back into the international fold and got the support of the international countries. August 1923 saw a new government led by Gustav Stresemann, which was a grand coalition of the different parties. He immediately ended passive resistance in the Ruhr and replaced worthless currency to end hyperinflation. Stresemann found it easier to get support as more right-wing than other Weimar politicians. However, he stood down as Chancellor in 1924, but remained as Foreign Minister. He negotiated loans from the USA in the Dawes Plan 1924 and a reduction in the repayment of reparations in the Young Plan of 1929, and ensured that the reparations payments were spread out over a longer period. Stresemann also secured international acceptance for Germany through the Locarno Agreements of 1925 and getting Germany to join the League of Nations in 1926. The Kellogg-Briand Pact of 1928 confirmed that all countries were also turning away from war.